welcome to livealittlehigher.com. This week we're celebrating the month of Iyar. It's soon to be, and the Torah, we know that every month of the Torah has a special energy. The month of Iyar is actually the second month in the calendar, coming from Nisan, and it's the 8th month coming from Rosh Hashanah. So we see that in Nisan, that was the month of the birth of the Jewish people. The energy of the month was an energy of miracles and wonders and a new people being born as a people. And we see that that collectively the Jewish people come from Abraham and Sarah. They were our progenitors, and from them we came down to Egypt with with his grandson Jacob, and from there we were 210 years enslaved until we became 600,000 root souls. And at that moment the Jewish people were born. They came out of Egypt in the most wondrous way. The 7th day of Passover, which is the day in which the sea parted, was the day in which it's compared in the Kabbalah as a baby being born came out of the birth canal. And now we're coming into the month of Iyar, which is a complete different energy in its totality, and this is a month in which we are growing up. So the month of Nisan is basically like a month of birth, of people being born, and the month of Iyar is a month of maturity. It's a month in which the Jewish people grow up. We're growing up. We're working with the counting of the Omer, and we're rectifying our character traits. We're rectifying everything that is not aligned. I would call it like a chiropractic alignment for 7 weeks, from the second night of Passover till Shavuot. It's 49 days of counting the Omer. On the 50th day that we receive the Torah, we're already this mature human being. So we see that there's a special sense, and as we know from the Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, the Book of Formation tells us that every month has a different sense, a different organ, a different tribe, a different zodiac sign, a different gem. The sense of this month is Hirhur, which means to listen. Actually, it means to listen, it means to think, to ruminate, to not be a reactive person, to a person that is able to contemplate and meditate in things that are going around him. And according to Rabbi Tzadok, it is a term that refers more to the thoughts of the heart than to the thoughts of the head. It's a month in which we connect to our emotional well-being. A lot of science has come up with the idea that a lot of our pain, our physical pain, really comes from our emotions. And until we don't target the emotions and we don't put our emotions in line, and we're not feeling the right things when we should be feeling them and not feeling things that we shouldn't be feeling, then the body reacts with pain. So it's interesting. It says that the body part of the body that corresponds to the month of Iyar is the right kidney. And if we look at the structure, the Kabbalistic structure of the Sefirot, if you go and look at it online, you're going to see it's like you have, it's a body. So Hesed, kindness, love and kindness, would be the right arm. Gevura, which is discipline, boundaries, justice, is on the left arm. The torso area, where you have here the solar, plexo solar, I don't know how you say it in English, like right here, in the middle of the ribs, in the heart-centered area, it's called Tiferet, which is harmony, balance. It's like half and half of Gevura and Hesed. It's balance, beauty, harmony. Then on the right kidney you have Hod, which is humility, is a sense of humility. And then on the left kidney, on the right kidney you have Netzach. Netzach means endurance, victory, strength. And the left kidney is the Hod, which is humility. So I'm going to correct this. It says that this month is the right kidney, is a month of perseverance, of never giving up, of keeping it together, of working and doing. So in Kabbalistic system of correspondence, the kidneys are the subconscious, instinctive root of emotion, as opposed to the heart area. The heart area, as I said before, is the kindness, the discipline, and the love, and the mercy. The compassion. And then you have the lower area where you have the right kidney, the left kidney, and you have the reproductory organs, and that would be it's centered in emotions. So you have the Netzach, and you have the Hod, the humility, and then Yesod would be a foundation. It's bonding, it's getting together. And so these according to the Kabbalah, this chain of generations, the link that joins parents to children, is first and foremost a primal bond at the levels of the kidneys. If you see in the biology, the kidneys are the organs that sift the good from evil. This is it's the place where in the body sifts the things that are going to be good for the body and puts them in the blood, and whatever is not good for the body, it's going to throw it out in your urine. It's going to go out. When you have kidney failure, it's because your kidneys are not being able to get rid of the toxins, and so your bloodstream becomes toxic. So we see that these kidneys are not only that works with the kidneys, it's also the adrenal glands, the ovaries, the womb, all the reproductory system, and the kidneys also refers to the entire body that has to do with victory, splendor, and foundation. So something very interesting that I learned from this article that I brought, that is written by, I always like to give Zehut to the merit to who wrote it, by Sarah Schneider. She gives a very interesting outlook in how, and today also medicine will tell you that there's transgenerational trauma, that sometimes something that a parent lives, it sticks with the child, and the child lives a complete different reality, but there's something in them that in a subconscious level is still in their system, and this comes from the kidneys that are the ones that absorb everything in life. I remember there's a story of Rabbi Manis Friedman, that he had a man that came to him, and he said to him that he had a horrible desire to kill himself, to just commit suicide, and that he didn't understand where this came from, that he was a happy man, he had a beautiful home, a beautiful wife, he had a good job, his kids were amazing, there was nothing in his life that would be depressive, or that he was like in pain that he could not handle. He couldn't understand why this urge came, where it came from. So Rabbi Manis Friedman told him, tell me about your parents, tell me about your mother's pregnancy. So he says, well, my mother came into Auschwitz, and she was pregnant with me when she was deported to the camp, and in reality she wanted to die. She didn't want to live, because all the time she was thinking, how am I going to have a baby in this camp? How am I going to survive this? How am I going to be able to survive being pregnant and having a baby in this place? And she wanted to die. So Rabbi Mani's Friedman said to see that's where it comes from. That desire to die comes from your mother's desire to die while you were being in her womb. And the minute that this man understood this, it went away. Right away, it went away because he was able to tap into that emotional anguish of his mother that was transmitted to him through the kidneys. So the Kabbalah refers to the kidneys as the link between generations, and it is referring to the entire lower torso occupied by the kidneys with the reproductive glands and the adrenal glands, reproductive organs and adrenal glands, and that produce the egg and the sperm and the hormones that will become the next generation. So according to the Kabbalah, the further something is from the head, the more unconscious it is. So these areas are more unconscious, like the realms of the soul, and just as the physical transmission of influences happens outside of our conscious involvement, this is generally true for the psychological component as well. Both nature and nurture are generally unconscious. So we carry many things that we carry in our genetic DNA that we're completely unconscious of them, but they are there because they were transmitted to us by our parents. So it seems clear that children learn a little from what we say, and they learn more from what we do. And this reminds me of once I went to visit the Ohel of the Rebbe, the resting place of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and I was in a moment of my life where I was growing in Torah and in mitzvot, and my house had become a more observant home, and the school where my kids were was not the school that was for these type of children, and I didn't know what to do with my kids. It was an amazing school, incredible school. It really helped me in my journey to do my teshuvah and to become a bal tshuva, but at that moment, socially, the kids was not the best place for them. So I went to the Ohel, and I'm writing this letter to the Rebbe. This is the practice when you go to a tzaddik, you write a letter that later you put in his tomb, and you're writing the letter that in the merit of this tzaddik, in the merit of this holy person, that God should give you an answer and help you. And when you're in the Ohel, there's this TV that is showing the Rebbe saying a siha. He's sometimes saying something, or sometimes he sees people that come with questions and he answers the questions. So at this moment, I'm writing this letter and I'm saying, I don't know what to do with the kids, if I should change them to another school, what should I do? And at that moment, this couple comes in, they're from Brazil, and the wife starts talking to the Rebbe, and she's asking him, what should I do with my kids? What should I do? We become more religious. Our home now is more observant. The school where my kids are is not socially the place where I think my kids should be. What should I do? And the Rebbe gave her an answer that it really blew me away, because it was really not something I was expecting to listen to. I thought he was gonna say to her, move them to a more religious school where the boys are in the boys and the girls are with the girls, and just separate them and let them go to a more frum school. And the Rebbe looked at the woman and he said to her in the most sweetest voice, he said, don't worry so much about your kids, worry about yourself. That whatever you do, your kids will follow. And in reality, that really put me in the tracks, because I said, okay, I have to become that person that I want my kids to become. I cannot be asking my kids to be something that I'm not. So whatever I want to be, I want them to be, that's the person I have to be. And that's when I started like really taking seriously modesty and covering my hair, and eventually, Baruch Hashem, with the grace of God and the aid of God, I had a lot of blessings, and my kids today follow in my paths. So we can learn a lot about ourselves from paying attention to our thoughts. And this is what the sense of this month is that we should listen to ourselves, that we have to be able to be honest with ourselves. Desire is the most important thing, and your thoughts is going to tell you where you want to be. And sometimes a person knows he has to be on a certain path, but his desire, his thoughts, takes him on another path, and our thoughts will tell us exactly where our values are. So with the Sarah Schneider, he gives us an incredible way to be able to work through this. And she says that first we should give 10 to 15, 20 minutes in where we sit down and we meditate and we're watching the flow of our thoughts. You know, in meditation, you try to put your head blank and not think about anything. Here she's saying, no, just sit down and look what's coming into your head. Don't maneuver, just sit down and look, watch at what's coming inside of your mind and listen to what is coming inside of your mind. Because when you do this, you're gonna see where you are as a person. And the second step is called labeling, and where we see that we are gonna start seeing a pattern and category in our thoughts. We're gonna be seeing that our thoughts are consistent. We're always thinking about the same thing. Maybe we're scared or something, or maybe we're always judging ourselves very harshly, or maybe we're always judging people, or we're gonna be thinking insecure in an insecure way. And that's when the patterns start to emerge. And at that point, we can really start putting them in categories and start looking at ourselves with listening to ourselves. And now for the third and final step, there's this idea to cause truth to rule over the thought. Once you have spent some time watching and labeling your thoughts and have identified the self-sabotaging patterns that are actively arising in the present, it becomes possible to make use of a technique that in Hasidut it's called Yihudim, and these ideas that every spiritual unproductive thought is based on a lie. So everything that is unproductive, that comes from a negative part of ourselves, that either scares us or makes us feel bad about ourselves or sabotages our welfare, really comes from a lie. It's not the truth. And this practice of Yihudim is a technique that exposes a lie by speaking the truth that is undoing. So the counter-truth serves as an infinitely potent antidote that dissolves the destructive thought at its root. For example, let us say one discovers a pattern of jealous thoughts. You look at the husband of your friend, he's a better husband. Why can't my husband be like her husband? Why can't my children behave like her children? Why my body doesn't look like her body, right? And so the way that we counter this statement is not saying, Margie, you're a bad person. How can you be thinking these things? It's ridiculous. You shouldn't be thinking this way. The way that we have to counter this is God knows my life mission even better than me. He designed it, He wills it, and He's bound by an irrevocable covenant to assist me in my life to fulfill the purpose for which I was created. And everything that I have in my life, everything that I own, and everything that is part of my reality is perfect for my spiritual growth. And in that moment, the person is really hitting the lie in the face and saying, like, get out of here, like you're worthless. So this technique, when properly employed, can dissolve deeply ingrained patterns at their root. And it is extremely potent and cost efficient. It takes minimal effort and it yields bountiful results. And it's a work of this is the work of this month of Iyar with the counting of the Omer. This is what we should be doing now to rectify our midot. There's always room to grow, but our worst enemy is our own negativity and our own looking at ourselves with bad eyes. We have to really make an effort to try to look at our godly spark, and look at ourselves as a child of God, that God really invested in us and He put us in this world because He really loves us and He wants us here. And He gave us a part in His world. He gave us a part that is part of our place ways of making better, and see what we can do in our lives to make the place a better place. The Rebbe always say there's three types of people. There's people that come to the world and make it better than how they found it. There's people that make it worse than how they found it. And there's people that sit around and they look up and they say, what are they doing? So be that person that is always trying to make things better, that is always trying to perfect his little area of the world. It can be with yourself. It has to start with you, and with others too, making their lives better, helping them have a better life. Be there for others, not judging, not criticizing, but seeing what you can say to that person that's going to make that person feel better today. Sometimes a person with a little bit of approval to a person, making him see, oh, you're such a wonderful, caring person, or I see that you have this artistic vibe, or something positive. Try to work on positive thinking, positive talking, and positive doing. And in this way, God willing, we'll be ready to receive that Torah on the month of Sivan with Mashiach Tzidkeinu in our time. So I wish you a blessed month, and remember, live a little higher. Thank you.